But with this new format, especially when you consider the fact that players literally played on their last life. Those of us that played Mario when we were growing up, they say you're on your last life when you've used first life, second life, and last life. Players were dropping like flies this season, especially with injuries. I think that if you consider that, then this new format is completely unnecessary.
Good day, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Let Go podcast, your one-stop shop for everything football, everything banter, everything controversial about football. Uh, a lot has been happening, and tonight we are serving you with extensive uh, topics to digest on today's episode. On top of that list is the Club World Cup that is currently going on in America. Is it a distraction or is it necessary for the growth of the game? Before I continue, I have with me on the panel today. I have Yinka, I have JD, I have Kaz. How are you guys doing today?
Very well, Samson. Good
Yeah,
evening.
very well, very well. Good evening, Samson.
Okay, uh, not to bore our viewers with the headlines, let's just go straight to the discussion. But before we start the discussion, I want to remind our viewers that we'll be having the giveaway segment as usual on this episode. Do well to view the episode, watch the video, so that you can stand a chance to win 5,000 naira. Two people, we'll be having two winners per episode, 5,000 naira each. Yinka, straight into the Club World Cup. Uh, is it a necessary tournament considering the health challenges it poses for clubs that are participating in this tournament? Or is it the bragging rights that clubs need to claim the throne of the pinnacle of football? What do you think?
Good evening, Samson. Thank you very much for the question. To be very honest, I'm neither here or there. But if I was to pick a side, I would say it's completely unnecessary. Um, I think the former format was fine the way it was. That was played during the season. It was about 7 to 10 teams. Everybody plays each other, champions of each continent with the host country and maybe a couple of other teams. Everybody plays, you have a good time, and then everyone goes home. But with this new format, especially when you consider the fact that players literally played on their last life. Those of us that played Mario when we were growing up, they say you're on your last life when you've used first life, second life, and last life. Players were dropping like flies this season, especially with injuries. I think that if you consider that, then this new format is completely unnecessary. They put it at a time where players should be resting because normally after the Champions League is done, when you've played the Champions League final, players go to rest for maybe 3 weeks to a month, and then resume for preseason. But you have a situation now where clubs that have participated or clubs that are participating in the Club World Cup now would not get up to 2 or 3 weeks. They might not even get up to 3 weeks of rest before the new season kicks off again. So I think that in that sense, it is completely unnecessary. I understand why FIFA has done it because for FIFA, everything has to be about money. There's always the chance to generate more money. And the clubs do get to make, a bit of money as well. But me as an Inter fan, for example, I am expecting a very a very gruesome start to next season because I know that most of our players would not have gotten enough rest. if you look at what happened to Inter last season, for example, or would I say this season, Lautaro Martinez played in the Copa America. A number of other players played here and there. And then when they came back, so Foden, for example, I think he played in Euros. When they came back for the season, they were all tired. And it showed in their game for the first 6 months of the season because they were completely tired. These players did not get enough rest. And I think the same thing is going to happen. So for me, I think completely unnecessary. Just give it the weight. I know it's still going to get interesting. And sorry to take too much of your time. Another thing I would like to point out is I do not want to sound like I'm discriminating against a certain region now. But I think the whole idea of having the United States host it, for me, is completely unnecessary as well. I know that the aim is to, one, generate money, two, also grow the game in that part of the world. Because if we would all agree that football is not the first sport that you think of when you mention the United States. At the same time, I don't think they are too open to the sports. They would consider basketball, baseball, and some other sports before they look at football. So why is it like it now looks like we're trying to force it on them? That's the way I see it anyway. Looks like we're trying to force the game on them, and then the rest of the world has to adapt to waking up in the middle of the night or watching football at very unusual time. So for me, I think it's unnecessary. I do know that it will get interesting at some point, possibly from the quarterfinal or upward. But for now, completely unnecessary.
JD, do you agree or slightly disagree?
Good evening. So thank you very much for the question. Um, I want to agree with almost to an extent, in the sense that FIFA do not completely get the timing right. In the sense that these players are just coming off the back of their regular seasons, and to come and board them with this new format of the Club World Cup is the last thing that they needed. Another thing is what was FIFA thinking when they sat down to decide about the new format? Did they have the interest of the players at heart?
Interest
And what was the reason behind the decision to hold the competition in America? These players
probably
just
because of
came
the
out
World Cup next year.
of a gruesome season, and
Yeah, that's
you are
true.
taking them all the way
But still,
to North America. It doesn't really matter. You're taking them all the way to North America to go and play their hearts out. These players will get tired for crying out loud. You're only allowed to sign about 25 players for the whole season. You're not even enlarging the squad for them. So I think it's totally unnecessary, because this is about the first FIFA tournament that I would see that lacks the excitement and the enthusiasm that we always see in FIFA organized tournaments. This is the first tournament that we see that kickoffs are delayed, restarts are delayed. The atmosphere is boring, kind of. You don't see the passion, you don't see the interest in people. The Americans are not football people, as Olons rightly said. So I just think maybe the timing might be wrong. The competition in itself might not be wrong, but the
I
timing
think we
is
lost
totally wrong.
JD.
And I agree
And
with Olon with everything that he said.
just to continue from where he stopped, personally, there's a skepticism I have towards watching matches played in America. I No matter how
Can you hear
serious that
me?
match is, there's this friend. I perceive the match like a friendly
it looks
match.
like preseason. In fact, if you ask me, the European teams are treating it like preseason. It would only be maybe the South Americans and possibly the Africans that are, because
They're
obviously there's
hungry.
a lot of money involved, and all of the South Americans are really gingered up and
They
fired
are,
up for
yeah,
it. But Europeans are still treating that, and I know that when it gets to a point, if the Europeans make it out of the group and maybe get to the quarterfinal, they'll then get serious because obviously there's a trophy to be won. But for now, it just looks like
the atmosphere
Milan
is
versus Lugano.
dull. Imagine watching a Club World Cup in daytime
I mean,
under the sun. You are watching PSG Atletico Madrid under the sun,
I
and
mean,
it
PSG that is like vampire club.
it
Ah,
it just feels wrong. It feels wrong. We hope FIFA would rethink this decision, and the reason is because after this Club World Cup, bear it in mind that clubs already have commitment to international friendly preseason matches that they must oblige to. So we would have clubs playing preseason matches well into July, few weeks before the season starts. And like Yinka said earlier, it's going to be a very gruesome start of the season. Squad depth and quality in depth will play a key role going into next season. But then moving away from the uh, doggedness of the competition and the stubbornness of FIFA, we've seen some upsets. We've seen some coaches make their debut. Uh, Xabi Alonso of Real Madrid, Christian Chivu of Inter. So far, Cas, has there been any match that has caught your attention and you feel, well, this was a good one to watch so far?
Uh, well,
You guys thinking?
so far, I think the one that really caught my attention has been the PSG Atletico Madrid. That just really they gave a bit of sting in the game. However, I think it would be unfair to look at the likes of Botafogo that won PSG yesterday and say they didn't give in their best. You can see the way the South Americans are pushing. Like Inka said, the European
Money
teams are
was
still
delayed
trying
though.
to, yeah, the European teams are still trying to understand exactly what is going on around here. What exactly are we doing here?
Chelsea
And
also
all.
lost today.
Chelsea lost 3-1. Yeah, so
We were up.
Flamingo.
Madrid drew as well, and Madrid were really knocked like they were. I don't understand what's going on within the team. But for me, I would say the PSG Atletico game really caught my attention. Maybe because there are two European teams, and I was just going to see what probably Simeone would have done differently against the PSG team. But well, PSG really showed their superiority at the end of the day. Did what they knew how to do. I don't think PSG played that game like it was a preseason. They played like but I think
They wanted to
there's
make
still
a
that
statement.
fact of exactly. So I think
Wanted to
that
go and
fact
lose to
that
Botafogo.
Botafogo, yeah. But then even losing to Botafogo, it wasn't like like I was telling some guys. I said it wasn't fluke. Botafogo played well. They could have even scored more. Botafogo could have scored more. They defended well. But it is what it is. Football is not just limited to what we want as fans. I can understand our point of view, where we are coming from, but to put up the game takes a lot of money. All those lighting, the setup, whatever it is that you see is a lot of money. And the FIFA would think from the economic side, even though yes, I don't believe the game should be played in America, but thank God they tested with this game. World Cup would have been a total failure because I was trying to check for season tickets for match tickets for the World Cup game,
World
and you
Cup.
could see the ridiculous prices that they've actually placed on games that you don't even know who is going to be there. Maybe it's going to be
Chile
Morocco
versus Iran.
and Chile. You understand? So, and then I'll be paying 1,000, 1,006, a thousand
Wow.
eight just to see. Yes, it's actually that much. It's not. It's ridiculously high. And I said, nah, this will not make any sense. And they did the same thing. The club, Copa and this Club World Cup as well. And then they saw that people didn't turn up. So I think probably they will have a rethink and do something different in the World Cup if they really want people to actually go watch the World
Uh,
Cup in America.
Finally on this topic, the calendar is getting busier every season. At any point, do we expect players to actually revolt? I mean, not audio revolution, but actually revolt. Is it ever possible?
I don't think it's feasible. Uh, I don't think it's possible, except for a few complaints here and there, maybe in interviews or post-match games, post-match interviews. where players complain that the games are too much. I don't think it will get to a point where the players come together and say, let's go on a strike, for example.
Boycott.
Also, it's a two-way thing for me, because also I also think that the players are not in the best position to say they want to strike. I understand as fans, I feel for them, and I understand that they are playing too many games for their health. It's not particularly good, but they also earn crazy money. Um,
That's why I don't feel for them.
you would not if you tell any player now to say,
How are you
okay,
want them to die?
Me, I don't feel
no,
for them.
just hear me out first. If you tell any player and tell the player, if you call any player and tell the player, okay, let's cut your games down to say 40, 45 games a season, and we also reduce your salary by say 40, 50%. How many of those players would willingly accept that offer? So, as
They have
long as you are
families to feed.
collecting, as long as you are collecting this crazy money,
And they are injured, even if they are injured.
exactly. So the cycle is crazy, really, because if you think about it, these players are the products. They are they are the people that we want to watch. Without the players, the sport literally does not exist, because there's really
Sure.
nothing that you're going to do about it. But then you then have a system that is built in such a way that the players do not get first access to whatever funds come into the sport. It either comes through FIFA first, or UEFA first, or the FA first, and then it trickles down to the clubs. And so it doesn't come to the players directly, to the point that you now say, okay, the players have a say in what comes in, and they then have to decide how many games they have to play as well. So because they do not have that kind of say, it's difficult for them to really influence anything. Now, the people that get access to this money is the people that deal with the sponsorship aspect, the commercial aspect. I'm talking about FIFA, UEFA, football associations, basically. They keep going out to look for more money, which means that money comes into their pockets. As the main product that people want to see, you would not be at the bottom barrel of the hierarchy and be looking at those people making money and thinking, I need to get some of this money. I need to get, a large part of this money. So you cannot really, in that sense, you cannot really feel for these players, because you know that they are getting much of that money. So whatever their bosses tell them to do, they have to do it, because they are getting a
Have to
lot
do.
of the money. So if the players are willing to say, okay, I'm willing to forego some of the monies that I'm getting just to ensure that my health is good and I can play less games in a season, why not? But because of the money that they are getting, I do not think that they would even want to suggest that, except for a few complaints here and there. Nothing is gonna happen.
Wow. So we're just going to continue seeing pile up of
But I think
matches
games will even
upon.
increase. Before you know what's
But
going on
then,
now, Super League is going to come up very soon. UEFA will not agree. UEFA will not cancel Champions League. Super League 2 will want to introduce that. That's more games again. And then clubs will want to key into it, because Super League is very, very lucrative.
More
And
money.
that's a lot of money.
Yep.
The players will think, okay, these clubs are getting money. My next contract, I probably should ask for £500,000 when I'm currently earning maybe 250 or 300. So it's a very, very crazy cycle, and you don't
It's a
really know who
cycle
to
thing,
blame.
yeah. Mm.
well, well said, well said. I'm just thinking in my head, what if one day everybody just down to you are not playing today? But then, like you said,
The fans will go on strike too. We say we don't go group. We have to watch football now.
but like you said, the money angle is very powerful, and everybody is just trying to grab a piece of the cake. Before we proceed to our next discussion, I want to drop the giveaway question for this episode. Uh, like I said earlier, two people stand a chance of winning 5,000 naira each. I'll drop the question. You go to our YouTube page upon upload of this episode. Uh, Watch the episode and provide the answer to the question in the comments. Winners will be picked randomly. So the question goes thus. Uh, in the last episode, there was a discussion about Pep Guardiola. Kindly state JD's submission on Pep Guardiola from the last episode. kindly state JD's submission on Pep Guardiola from the last episode of the Late Go podcast. Thank you. I wish you all the best. Maybe can I say may the best man win? No, may the may the most random person win. Anyways, moving on. There has been a lot of transfer talks. Uh, Liverpool has been moving. Liverpool have been moving like Galacticos in the transfer window, and they've confirmed the signing of Frimpong to replace Trent Arnold. They've confirmed the signing of Florian Wirtz
Wait,
from
wait.
Leverkusen, and now we are hearing they are discussing Isak. Uh, Yinka, before we go ahead with this transfer, I remember something now. And few seasons ago, Liverpool were praised for algorithm and scientific data analysis, blah blah blah. These players are not algorithm players. They are players that have passed the eye test. Are they throwing away algorithm now, or what is happening at Fenway Sports Group? This is not Liverpool's MO.
Well, I do think that there is no club that does not use data. It just the level at which you use it might be different from the level at which one club uses it might be different from the level at which another club uses it. Now, in Liverpool's case, there were discussions or reports that they were heavily their signings were mostly as a result of research that was done based on the algorithm and data that they had on ground, which made sense because I mean sometimes, but I would say most of the time, data does not lie. So if the data points you towards a certain, footballer, then you have to go for that footballer. But at the same time, football is not that straightforward. Just like we always say, stats do not tell the whole story. In football, you need the eye test. I mean, a player could score 15, 20 goals in a season and have, say, 10 penalties out of those 15 goals, 15, 20 goals. Now, the data tells you that this person has scored 20 goals. The data also tells you that this person has scored penalties, a lot of penalties. But you would then need to watch that player to know if it's worth putting money on because you do not want to buy a striker that only relies on penalties to boost the
Hello.
stats. So that is where high test comes in. And I think that for a club of Liverpool stature, they cannot particularly rely on algorithm and data. In fact, I cannot think of any big club that relies only on algorithm and data. You have to watch the players. You either have to watch the players or you allow the player's reputation speak for him. For example, if you want to go for a Kylian Mbappe, you don't necessarily need data for that kind of player. His reputation speaks for him. In fact, you do not need eye test in most cases. You just
If
need to
you
try
want
to
to buy Leao too, his reputation is speaking for
you
him.
just need to try to figure out how it's going to fit into your squad. So I think that Liverpool have seen this and have figured out that okay, we're a big club. We've just won the Premier League. If we intend to defend this Premier League or maybe move higher and maybe win the Champions League again, we cannot solely be depending on players that one algorithm has pushed out. We need to go for established players, players that we know what they can offer, regardless of what the number says, regardless of what the data says, players that are ready. And I think that in Frimpong and Wirtz and their potential targets in Alexander
Isak,
Isak, that alone tells us that it is not about data. It's just about players that can come in and deliver immediately without stress. So, and I think it's the way to go.
well, except for we broke Italian clubs.
No,
Anyways,
Most
that's
Italian clubs. We have to sit down and watch and watch and watch. We don't really use data save like that because data is expensive.
data
data
is
is
expensive.
expensive.
Oh.
We watch with our
Before
eyes.
you solve the YDX on one player, Madrid has
We have
bought the
to
player
watch and watch
already.
and watch and watch and watch and watch and watch before we decide. They will now negotiate and negotiate and negotiate and negotiate and negotiate.
Give us with our
Cars,
reality.
Isak to Liverpool. What is your mind telling you? Another title?
Definitely. Another, definitely another title. Liverpool, they just won the Premier League. And whatever it is that they're doing now is just more strengthening the team. I would like to see what will be of the Man City team at the beginning of the season to see if they will be willing to give a fight for the league as well this season. But I think Liverpool are even more preparing themselves for the Champions League than because they don't want the repeat of what happened this past season. So I think they are preparing more for the Champions League than even the Premier League because I think for a long time they wanted to win the Premier League. Now they've won the Premier League and they are looking elsewhere to say, okay, you can see what they are bringing in and they are players that they
They
know
are not.
can get the job
They
done.
are
They
not
are not
Granite.
playing.
They are not Xhaka or Modric. That
Nah,
your
they are
Milan.
not.
That your Milan targets.
It's okay. I don't, they are not here to play. They are here for the business. They know what they want. They went for it, irrespective of what the price is. Isak will not come in cheap, maybe about another 70, 80 million will go
Eh?
down again.
70.
So
I read that
maybe
Newcastle said nothing less than
200.
200.
200.
yeah,
They
but nobody
placed
will pay 200 for
they
Isak,
placed 200
definitely.
million pounds on the guy.
Nobody will pay 200.
Staggering fee actually.
Wait. Even if they say 200, after negotiation, Isak will go for nothing less than 120.
Well,
They will not get 100 for him.
I do not have, I do not know much about. Well, I wouldn't say I don't know much, but I'm not in that circle, so I cannot say for sure. But I know it's going to cost a lot. It's going to cost a lot, especially because it's between two Premier League teams. It's going to cost a
But
lot.
so now we have seen
It will
money
not
to the
cost
point
100
that now
million pounds.
80 million is not even big money to us anymore.
80
Wow.
million is not big money. Oh.
Well, Liverpool just sold Quansah
I mean,
for. Well, have they
40
sold him?
million.
I'm reading that they will
40
sell him
million.
for 40 million.
A player
So
that
when
has
you are
18
talking in
appearances.
Premier League terms, 80 million is not really a lot of money in Premier League
That guy
so
terms.
has played
how
only
did
13
Milan
Premier League
now
games.
sell Reinders to
Exactly,
how did
but
Milan sell Reinders
in Serie A terms,
to
80
Man
million is
City?
blood money.
80
It's
million is
not blood
enough to
money.
buy a
Oh.
club in
It's
Serie
rubbish
A.
money.
You can buy a club in Serie A with 80 million.
It's rubbish money. And that's why Milan fans are angry that Tijani Reinders went for that cheap.
It's
I
too cheap,
mean,
in my opinion.
55 million plus 50
Going
million
by what
in
the analysis Ollon's made about the transfer, I don't think it was that cheap.
I think
Given
it's fair value.
the factors that surrounded the transfer, I don't think it was that cheap.
I think we showed a desperate hand, and the City capitalized on that. Anyways, he's gone. We wish him all the best.
Because who is Quansah to be sold for 40 million?
The guy
That's what I'm
played
saying.
17 games
I
last
have a
season in the
theory.
Premier
I
League.
have a theory. I think
Okay.
that there's something fishy going on as far as that deal is concerned. Because you
I
cannot tell me
second.
that a few weeks after Florian Wirtz, sorry for my pronunciation, a few weeks after Florian Wirtz joined from Bayer Leverkusen for 120 or 130 million, Quansah, that has not played up to 20 games in the Premier League, is then moving the other
Yeah,
direction for 40 million.
40 million,
40
maybe
million.
well,
I
well,
think there's something fishy going on in that, as far as that deal is concerned.
It,
transfer is
it,
concerned.
it
Okay.
might be fishy, but not illegal.
Well, no, I'm not saying
It's
it's
looking like
illegal.
what happened
But I'm
between
just saying
Juventus and
a couple of teams
was it
have
Aston
probably
Villa
come
last season?
together and said, okay, we need to cover we need to balance up a few things on our books. So we're going to sell this guy to you. We're going to pay you guys a lot of money for this player, and then you guys are going to return it like it's money that we just received. So it comes in as extra, as fresh income, and then you're able to use
Yeah.
it to plug in some.
It
I'm
happened
not
with
saying that
Juventus
is what
and
has
And
happened.
Aston Villa last season.
and,
The
Allegedly,
Douglas Luiz
and the boy
operation.
is an academy player,
aha.
so it's maximum profit.
So it's maximum profit. So
Now we
it
they
just
go for
seems
Syria.
a bit off for me, Sha. That's just an opinion. I'm not saying this as a fact.
It's looking like the Juventus way, allegedly.
Juventus, the way they do their things. This one,
It
I'm not
looks
even
like
putting allegedly because they've been punished for it. So
if you can cook, please cook. So
Don't
that's
don't
what's
get burnt
happening.
too.
JD, Rashford to Inter. What are you people cooking in San Siro?
It's a special it's a delicacy. I honestly I don't mind. I don't mind. Even if I would agree that Rashford has been struggling for the past couple of seasons. Even if he's not one of the
Struggling
most,
out.
he's been struggling in front of goal. He's been struggling to make himself known. He's been struggling to ascertain his presence on the pitch. He went from a
It's not an
disappointing.
Mbappe. Maybe
Huh?
you are expecting too much of him, Sha. Maybe you are expecting too much of him.
No, not that a player of his caliber, with the kind of reputation he's gathered, with the kind of
Which
hype that
caliber?
comes with him, I think he's not really performing at his best. But I think Inter Milan could probably be the best place for him to revive his career, given that there's a working system in place. Inter Milan are a formidable side, no doubt. It's not by fluke that you play two Champions League finals in 3 years, and it's not by fluke that you get
Mm.
to the
Let us blow our trumpets now.
yes, now it's not
Come on.
by fluke that
Cook,
you
cook,
get to the
cook.
finals of
Let's
every
have it. Let's
tournament
have
you
it. Let's
competed
have
in,
it.
save
Let's
for
blow our
the
trumpets.
Copa Italia when we put in
Continue,
the
Daddy, my guy.
semi-finals. I think Rashford is a kind of the missing piece for Inter Milan, given that he's got the speed and he can take his man on. Inter Milan does not have that kind of a profile. The closest person we have to that profile is Marcus Thuram, but you cannot compare him to Rashford. Rashford is more direct. He takes you on and goes the Premier League way. So I think if he comes to Inter, there is a fair chance for him to rediscover his lost career, so to say, because I think we need that profile. We really need that kind of profile. I cannot guarantee if he goes to another Serie team, but I know that if he comes to Inter Milan, given the speculation that has been flying around, he could probably revive his career. It's happened before with Romelu Lukaku when we signed him from Chelsea about 3-4 seasons ago. He came and he won us the Scudetto. So I don't rule out a repeat of that with Rashford.
Spoken like the fan of a broke Syria club. In over to you.
I'm not running away from
Well,
my reality.
personally, I don't think the deal will happen because I think that the only way a deal happens is if United offer to pay part of his salary. If they are willing to do that, I think then obviously there's a chance that he will come to Inter. But also with Barca interested, I know that those ones are also struggling one way or another financially. But before you know what's going on now, you hear that they've sold their birthrights for something, 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 and then they've been able to
And
register,
they've sold Campbell's toilets.
and they've been able to register the player. But Barca might find a way to sign him eventually. So, but from a tactical perspective, I agree with JT. I think he has everything that Inter currently lacks. I saw the game between Inter and Monterrey, and I felt like there were too many balls, especially when you look at the way that Christian Kivu wants to play. He likes to circulate the ball a lot in the middle and then release either to the wings in the final third or release runners in behind the defense. A lot of the times that we try to release strikers in behind the Monterrey defense, I don't think the strikers go up to 3 meters before the Monterrey defender caught up with them. And I'm talking about a Monterrey defense that has 300-year-old Sergio Ramos. So
If you say
imagine having a younger defender that actually has speed. In fact, it would have been a few days for those defenders. So I think that we need a striker. I do not think that Rashford is a top nine, but I do think as a supporting striker, it would be
we
very
don't play with a
perfect.
top nine. Do we
I
not play
agree with
with a
you.
top nine? We don't
Well,
play
we
with a top
don't.
nine.
That's true. That's true as well. We don't really because Lautaro is not a top nine.
It's not a
Thuram
top
also is
nine.
not a top nine. We just play with two
Those guys are
supporting
just forward
strikers
players.
that can
Yeah.
interchange. One can just fill in the top nine and then interchange at any time. So I think Rashford fits in from a tactical perspective. But whether the deal will happen because of finances is also because the only person that has reported it, as far as I know, would be one Sam Locust or something. So I'm not particularly sure about that source. But
I'm
we'll see
local.
if there are any developments later.
Cas, Granit Xhaka to Milan.
Whatever it is that they are smoking in Milan, they should just continue to smoke. Because at the moment now, don't understand what is going on in that club. I don't know
Can you
exactly.
stop asking
The,
cast
like
questions you
our
don't belong?
signings.
Stop asking Cas
No,
personal
it's
interviews
cross.
because
So
questions.
carry.
it,
Baba has logged
it's
out
just
since.
looking like we don't have a direction. It's just looking like we just want to sign anything that comes our way. We just want to, oh, this is a player available. Let's just go. We're not really focusing on exactly our
I,
problem.
I
What
think
is what?
Allegri is fully in charge.
Hmm.
I agree.
Allegri is fully in charge. The way I see it, Cas, we have moved from one paddy management to another paddy management. Tare is friends with Allegri, and now they are running the show the way they deem fit. I think Allegri is fully involved in transfers. Last season, it was Ibrahimovic and Forlani playing Romeo and Juliet with our destiny and buying all sorts of nonsense. Uh, Personally, I don't think Xhaka is a bad addition to the Milan squad, considering the lack of leadership in the team
On the dressing room.
and the lack of technical know-how. Honestly, uh, we are playing once a week. It's not as if you will play on Saturday and play on Tuesday. It's just once a week that we play.
So you
So
can make do with those
as
grandpas that you have signed
Shaka
now.
is coming in with a lot of
So
experience.
the way me I'm looking at it is this: if a coach, I'm always in favor of satisfying a coach because it's almost like you're giving the coach a rope to hang himself. So if you
I
say you
like it.
want so player, give him. If you say you want, the only thing that will make you not give him is if you've tried and the selling club does, maybe you're unable to find a deal, then you have to go to a plan B. But if you're able to get the coach's plan A, give him, give him. So that at the end of the day,
But
it
I
does
think
not,
Shaka is about the
give you
right profile for
excuses
Milan.
and say, oh, because you did not give me this, because you did not give me that. But that on one side, I also think that Milan, for some time now, have not really had a register. If you really look at it very well, and in Serie A, except for a few systems, in most teams in Serie A, most teams play with a director. Even if it's not a natural born director, you try to put someone in that position to dictate play and control game from deep. And Milan, I believe,
Yeah,
have lacked that for quite some time now. They either play for Fana or they play what's his name? Reinders, or they play Musa. Those are not registers as far as I'm concerned. With Shaka, you get a bit of control in midfield. You also get experience. Add that to the fact that Modric would also be coming into the team. It does have a few negatives because you could have a situation where the team is struck with injuries during the season, say maybe 2 or 3 injuries in midfield, and then you have to rely on Xhaka, Modric, and say Fofana for like 4 games in a row. Do they have the
all of
legs to do that? Do they have the legs to do that? Can they play 3, 4 games in a row? So it does come with a few risks. But if everything goes well, Modric, I'm not particularly sure because I'm not. Modric is a fine player. Everybody knows that. But I'm not particularly sure if he still has the legs to do it week in, week out. Xhaka is still 32. I mean, we have Akan Çalhanoğlu at Inter. Akan is
32 is our own 25
32
in
or
Serie A.
thereabout. How this?
He plays.
When Pirlo moved from AC Milan to Juventus, he was in his early 30s as well. So in Serie A, 32, especially in that director role, you need
You're just
experience
starting your
and you
career.
need know-how. So in that director role, 32 is still very young. You just need to be able
You're,
to. So, and I
you're
think
just
that's what
getting
Allegri
bored.
is looking for. So Xhaka, if they do get Xhaka, I think it's a good addition. Modric, from a quality perspective, good addition too, but from a physical perspective, I'm not sure how many games he can give, Milan this season. So that's where the problem might come from.
Well, a lot has been said about transfers. Uh, Cas, are you sure you will watch Milan this season? That your smile is like,
It looks like Cas has given up completely on Milan.
you
Completely.
He
know,
has
The
since
thing
logged
is,
I
out
saw
of
a
Milan.
the
video.
Stop
reason,
I
asking
the,
saw
me
a
re-
now in the first
video.
question.
I saw a video of I saw a video of our sporting director Tari. I don't know, maybe it's a recent video or an old video, and was walking. He was walking away from office, and it looked like a
When I saw that
like a
video,
it looked
the
like a
first thing that came to my mind, but I cannot say it. I don't know if you guys have seen this very old movie. Muyiwa Ademola Ori. I think he wants to do a remake of that movie. The title of that movie. I think at some point in that movie, he ran mad and walked from Lagos to maybe he walked from Lagos to the north. He was just walking. When I saw that video of Tari just walking, that was what it felt like. Like this guy life don't die. He was just walking.
As in, 1 month into the
Never
job,
spent 2
our
months.
sporting director looks like
Oh, boy, he just
like
resumed.
a mad person.
He never
So,
collect salary.
well, I don't
It's
know.
not do 1 month. He don't
It's
Ah,
going
tire
to
time,
for
be
time
you
a
will
before
tell.
you collect
it's going
salary.
to be a
Time will
long
tell.
it's going to be
I
a
just,
long
I just,
season.
I just don't understand the cycle why we have to go from a manager that we said we never wanted, that didn't have the answer to our question. What have they done differently? Why is it back in the team? That cycle, I don't understand. Why are we not thinking differently? Why are we not trying something new? We can't keep doing like we always the same thing, same way, and expect a different result. So
Uh
I'm not saying Allegri is a bad manager. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the answer to our question at the moment.
Milan are gradually slipping
That
into
is not
bad
who we
tire.
need, and we all know that. But then
Jeffrey does not know that though.
Cars.
that's that's
Serie
on
A is
Jeffrey.
a traditional Serie A is a traditional club, traditional league, and we like our sentiments, we like our obsessions. Allegri is a big name in the league, whether we like it or not. Uh, to the people in charge, he guarantees return to top four at least instantly. It is only left for us to fold our hands and see what happens. Still to come on the show, we have an interesting segment. I call it the Osimhen segment. This guy is just trending everywhere. We have a special discussion about Osimhen, and we'll also be having a player comparison segment where we're talking about two of the finest midfielders that have graced the sport and how they compare on an overall level. For now, I say enjoy yourself, stay back, relax. We'll be back soon. Thank you.